Winter is back, and it is back with a vengeance as we have three major winter storms that will be pushing across the United States over the next 7 days, and each of them will be capable of producing heavy snow, ice, heavy rain, and some significant severe weather. We're going to be walking you through the weather forecast in this video. So if you are here, make sure to A, subscribe to the channel, follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns, turn on the post notification bell for future videos and live streams, B, like the video, give it a thumbs up, and C, share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's get into your weather forecast. Let's look at the stratosphere, because what is driving our cold air here at the surface is actually up in the stratosphere from the mid-latitudes. We're seeing the cold air trickle down into where we live in the troposphere, and notice the polar vortex this week will be splitting, right? We're going to see two lobes of the polar vortex, and the main lobe will be down here near the Hudson Bay in Canada, and it will mean quick access to cold air across the northern United States as we go through this week. Here you can see this is at the surface. Here are your temperature anomalies averaged out over a 5-day period. Notice where you see the deeper blues, the pinks, the purples. Those are temperature anomalies that are 20, 30, perhaps 35 degrees below normal, and that's really stationed up here in southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, and Montana. But notice even the lighter blues and greens extending all the way down towards Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Those are still below normal temperatures, maybe not as extreme as Montana, but still some pretty cold air to work with here with our winter storms. Now, here are your highs we saw today achieved across the western U.S. this afternoon on Monday, February 10th. 60s, 70s, a few 80s down to the south into Southern California, Southern Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, even over here into West Texas. Coldest of the air up here into Montana. That's where we're going to see the coldest temperature anomalies over the next 5 days, so get used to this, and it's going to get a lot worse as we go through the week. Temperatures today were around 0, maybe even a handful of degrees below 0, so sub-zero highs today, and our wind chills were actually 10, 20 degrees below 0 up here across Montana this afternoon. Now, as we go into Tuesday morning, we're going to cool off here into Montana. Our lows are going to be around 15 degrees below 0, and when you factor in just a little bit of wind, we could be seeing wind chills as cold as 35 degrees below 0 up here. So make sure you bundle up if you venture outdoors. Cover any exposed skins, because frostbite can occur in less than 20 minutes in this type of environment. So definitely watching out for that. In the central United States, coldest air up here in the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Temperatures either at the single digits above or below 0, or even some teens above 0 here for highs in Wisconsin, especially with the warmest air to the north. And then you can see we have more of those 30s, 40s further to the south, even in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, seeing a high around 44 this afternoon. And looking here at our morning lows for Tuesday, look at that up to the north, North Dakota, especially into northern Minnesota, teens below 0, with our air temperatures and our wind chills here could be closing in on 40 degrees below 0, especially up there into northern North Dakota. So again, make sure to bundle up with many layers out there with winter coats and sweatshirts underneath your winter coat, gloves, a scarf. Definitely goes a long way in covering exposed skin, because frostbite and temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below 0 can occur in less than 20 minutes. Very, very dangerous stuff. Now, looking at the east, not as cold over here, still pretty chilly up toward Maine with temperatures this afternoon in the teens. Warmer to the south, like Florida, South Georgia, into the upper 70s to mid 80s. And as we start the day tomorrow here in the east, notice the coldest air up here in Maine, where our deeper snowpack is. Temperatures averaging around 0 degrees, and our wind chills up there will be around 5 to 10 degrees below 0. So again, just make sure to bundle up in layers if you live up there toward Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and even upstate New York Tuesday morning. Now let's track our first winter storm here of the period. We are looking at the potential for some snow, some ice, and then some rainfall here. Severe weather is not a concern with this first winter storm. Notice going through the evening, pretty quiet here in the mid-Atlantic and the southeast. As we go into the overnight hours, we're going to see a thin area, a narrow area of snow develop from southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, through central Kentucky over here into western Virginia. That could begin to give us some of those bigger snowflakes, the wetter snowflakes, and then that could mix it with or change over to some freezing rain and sleet. In the green is all rain, but notice the shield of the snow starts to expand and it gets darker, right? That means heavy wet snow will be falling overnight into your Tuesday morning across Kentucky. So Louisville over there to Lexington, Richmond, even over eastward towards Charleston, West Virginia, and even Roanoke, Virginia as well. Then as we go deeper into the day on Tuesday, that shifts eastward toward the Delmarva region. So Maryland, like Washington, D.C., into areas of Baltimore, Philly, and even Trenton, New Jersey. We could start to see some pretty heavy snowfall, and that takes us all the way to our Wednesday morning commute. Here are the total precipitation amounts. First, starting off on the cold side with the snow, could be seeing anywhere from 5 to upwards to 10 inches of snow, especially in those higher elevations, seeing those double-digit totals near 10 inches across West Virginia and Western Virginia. Otherwise, areas from southern Illinois into Kentucky are looking at more of a 2 to 4 inch variety. Heaviest over here to the Delmarva, portions of Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, even southern Jersey seeing anywhere from 5 to 10 inches, but again, the higher elevations seeing near those 10-inch double-digit amounts. Looking at the ice accumulation, could be seeing some cold air damming even down toward Asheville, North Carolina, so western North Carolina, the Smoky Mountain area, could be seeing upwards to 1/4 of an inch of ice. This is pretty significant because not only will that mean tricky travel, but also we're looking at potential some scattered power outages in an instance like this if we did get 1/4 of an inch of ice. Then looking at the rainfall, looking at around 1 to 2 inches of rain, especially back here into southern Tennessee and much of the deep south and southeast with this first winter storm. Here's the second winter storm. We're going to look at the track of this one, very key. So as we go into Wednesday morning, low pressure develops here in the Lone Star State, right smack dab in the middle of Texas. And then as we go into the afternoon, that will cruise up toward Little Rock as a 1003 millibar low. Notice it's strengthening as it pushes to the north and east here, and it's going to move up towards Ohio near Dayton as we go into Wednesday night. West and northwest of the low track, a deformation snow band will set up underneath of the low track, or near it. We're going to have a freezing rain setup with ice. And south and southeast of it, a heavy rain, also a severe weather setup here on the warm side. So let's look at this here and dissect it the best we can. In the blue, and especially the darker blue, that is heavier snow. The pinks and the oranges you see, that's sleet, freezing rain. And the green, especially the dark green, that is heavy rain. Notice as we go into Wednesday morning, here's the snow breaking out across Kansas, southeast Nebraska, southern Iowa, and northern Missouri, even extending as far east as western Illinois. Notice the freezing rain from Oklahoma and Elk City all the way over here into portions of Wichita and up into portions of west central Missouri. That's where we're going to see the sleet. That's where we're going to see the freezing rain. Heavier thunderstorms and some severe weather will be possible across the deep south. They'll continue as we go into Wednesday. Notice the snow moves into places like Davenport, Rockford, and Chicago, and then that starts to move over into portions of Michigan, Grand Rapids, all the way up toward Traverse City as we go into Wednesday night. Icy setup from St. Louis over here into Lafayette, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Toledo, Detroit. That's where we're going to be seeing the heavy rain setup, and then potentially even that freezing on contact. So that would be freezing rain, and that could extend up there toward Toronto. Thunderstorms continuing across the deep south. We go into Thursday, heavy snow setup for southern Ontario and Quebec, Montreal, back down there toward Toronto. We're going to change that freezing rain and sleet over to snow in Toronto, and then more snow there for Maine, and then more of an icy mix there for Albany, New York, Boston, getting into Concord, New Hampshire, and even into the Providence area and Hartford areas as well. Rainfall, New York City on southwestward towards Florida. Now with this setup on the cold side, this is a heavy deformation snow band. It's going to be fluffy snow. It's not going to be the wet snow. Cold air coming in on the backside will promise you that fluffier cotton candy type of snow. And this could give you a decent 6 to 12 inches anywhere you see the purples and pinks here from Kansas, Nebraska through Iowa, northern Missouri, northern central Illinois, south central Wisconsin through much of lower Michigan, northwest Indiana, and then on up here into southern Ontario and Quebec. That's where we see a solid 6 to 12 inches and possibly a little bit more up here in Ontario, Quebec. As that storm system matures, we could actually be seeing locally 2 to 3 feet up there. Looking here at the ice accumulation, could be seeing a narrow swath of ice from Oklahoma City, Tulsa, up towards St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Lafayette, Terre Haute, Indiana, up there into Fort Wayne, Toledo, and Detroit. That's where we can see upwards to 1/4 of an inch of ice, making travel very treacherous out out there. And then looking at the warm side, heavy rains, another 1 to 3 inches of rain on top of what we've already seen with the Tuesday system. This is midweek, Wednesday into Thursday, in similar areas across the southeast, so flash flooding will be a concern. Now, in my previous video, later this morning, early this afternoon, I did note how the marginal risk was there, but an upgrade to a slight risk will be possible. The Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and upgraded to a level 2 out of 5, slight risk across East Louisiana, South Central Mississippi, Southwestern Alabama. This does include the Jackson area of Mississippi. Primary risk here, 60 mile per hour winds and some quarter size hail, but a few tornadoes will be possible. We look at the setup here. We have the storm energy, not off the charts, but we're still seeing around 1,000 joules per kilogram here on Wednesday afternoon. Notice Wednesday morning, we already have a few thunderstorms in the vicinity. And as we get into the peak daytime heating, a big cluster of some supercells here, maybe a loosely organized line of storms, will be cruising its way across the lower Mississippi Valley from Arkansas into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, maybe as far north as southern Tennessee. And these storms could be packing a punch with 60 mile per hour winds, quarter size hail, and a few tornadoes out there that will continue eastward into Wednesday evening before falling apart as they push east toward Georgia and northwest Florida Panhandle on Thursday morning. And the third winter storm now, okay? This is a snow train, right? As we go into the weekend, we have another low pressure down here toward the Texas, Oklahoma panhandles that will take a similar track to the midweek system, maybe just a tad bit further east towards Kentucky instead of Ohio. And that will mean that the snow will fall again on the west-northwest side. Near or underneath the low track is the ice storm setup. And then we have heavier rain and a more significant severe weather setup with this third winter storm, I do think. So here we go. Saturday morning, heavy snow, similar areas as the second storm rather. Midweek, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford, all the way to Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Fort Wayne, Toledo, Detroit. You guys all have a chance for some snow and or ice, and then heavy rain and severe weather on the southern side. Look at all the heavy rainfall that does fall with this system. Here's the snow side. Similar areas again, right? Des Moines, Milwaukee, Prairie du Chien, Rockford, Chicago, Davenport, Traverse City, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Fort Wayne, Toledo, Detroit. You all have a chance for several more inches of snow as we go into the weekend. And then we have the ice set up underneath that on the northern fringes of this rain. And then heavier rain, especially here in the Tennessee Valley. We could be seeing another 1 to 3 inches the third time this week as we go into this time frame. And severe weather already 6 days out. Storm Prediction Center already confident that say, hey, a significant severe weather or tornado outbreak may unfold as we go in towards the weekend. And we're going to highlight this area in yellow. So eastern Texas, all the way here to the east across Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas, much of Mississippi, Alabama, into northwest Georgia. We have to be on the lookout for the potential of some significant severe weather as we go into the weekend. Saturday night, and then into Sunday. A little bit more storm energy this weekend than the system that we see midweek. So this could actually bring more energy to the storms, which could make them stronger. So as we go into the weekend, Saturday morning, already isolated supercells down here in the mid and deep south, and then that will develop into a big line of storms with some embedded supercells within the line or ahead of the main line. Those are the ones ahead of the main line. If we get a supercell to develop, that could give us a strong tornado risk, and that definitely will translate eastward as we go into the overnight hours and Sunday morning. Looking back at the outlook here, this is an area that could be upgraded to an enhanced, possibly even a moderate risk as we do get closer to this event if all of the characteristics of a severe weather outbreak come together. So putting all the three winter storms together, here's all the snowfall in totality that we'll be seeing between now and next Monday, a week from now, Monday, February 17th. In the pinks, purples here, and even the whites, we're looking at easily 6 to 12 inches. The whites over 2 feet there, especially into southeastern Canada and the far northern reaches of New England. And then looking here at the ice potential, really setting up from Amarillo through Oklahoma City, Tulsa, St. Louis, Indianapolis, up toward Detroit, Toledo, Fort Wayne, and then parts of the Northeast, especially with some cold air damming over here toward the Mid-Atlantic. Heavy rain setup. We could be seeing over 6 inches of rainfall across parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, middle and eastern Tennessee, up into southeastern Kentucky. This could lead to some widespread flash flooding, especially by the time we get to that third winter storm, with more successive rounds of rainfall really exacerbating the issues down here. Now, as we go into the third week of February, the active weather continues, but more so with the cold air. So the polar vortex will arrive. We have a snowpack, probably a deep snowpack on the ground, and this is going to lead to some very cold temperatures already on this map. This is a couple weeks out, already showing temperature anomalies during that 5 to 7 day period, which would be the third week of February, 10-20 degrees below normal. So you know it's cold because it's still the middle and end of February, and that could bring, with moisture and with cold air, could bring more snow and winter storms even into that last week or that third week of February. So you know when to get the weather, and you know it's right here on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns on this channel, turn on post notifications so you're notified for future videos and or live streams on this channel. Like the video, especially if you did find it informative. Also share this video with friends, family, and on social media. If you want to leave a comment down below, a question, I'll get to all those after the video. That's all I have for you here this evening. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Monday out there.